Hello everyone, this is Deepak Bari, and in this video we're gonna make a simple web server by using some couple of end devices and router and switches, and we will also implement some routing protocols into our routers here. So open up your Cisco packet tracer. Now in this scenario we will use the server and the PC for end device, and what the server will do is to serve some services, and as well as the HTTP services it will serve, and we will see the web page on our client side. So in between some remaining device will be there, and we will implement with the appropriate protocol. So let's get started. So first of all, I'm using the end devices at this time, and we have this server option here, this server PT. So let's get this server PT here, and we have the PC here. So let's put this PC here. Now we can directly connect with our server and our PC here by using simple cable, but we are not doing that. We will use our switches and routers, and let's assume this distance with server and our PC, the end device PC, is far away. So let's connect with by using these servers. So let's grab some routers here. So I'm using like this router 2911. Let's take two routers here, and we also need a switch here. For switch, let's say 2960, that will be fine. Okay, now let's connect this one. So turn off this router and just add this port here, and another router. Let's add this same module here also. Turn on this router again. Now let's connect the router first. So router to router we are using this serial cable here. So as you have already know about this one, and previously we have talked about why we are using serial cables and the copper straight through. So if you don't know about this, so just go through the previous tutorials also, and let's take this copper straight through here. Now this time router to switch I'm using the gigabit Ethernet, so you can use gigabit Ethernet or the fast Ethernet also. So right now this one, the fast Ethernet 0/1 will be connected with server fast Ethernet 0, and with this interface we will use the gigabit Ethernet 0/0, another end 0/1, and connect with fast Ethernet 0/1 to fast Ethernet 0. Okay, let's make the switch here. PC will be there. Okay, now let's suppose we have some IP addresses here. Like, let me take a note here. Suppose we do have this IP address here, like it suppose has the 10.2 and the CIDR value is 29. So we don't want to make or waste any kind of IP address here, so we are using just 29. And for the gateway here we will use the 10.1, and for these ports we will use the 10.4 IP address with CIDR value of 30, and this would be the 10.0.0.2, and this would be 30. And now in this scenario we are using this 20.2 network, and let's say it will be simply a 24. Then it will get the IP address of 20.2/24. Okay, that's fine. Now what should be the next step is to assign the IP address into these interfaces. So just open the server port and go to the data option and go to the IP configuration. Let's assign the IP address here 192.168.10.2, and in this time, because of shared value is 29, so the value of subnet mask would be 255.255.255.248. Now let's close this option here. Close this one too. And now let's configure into the PC 0. So it will get the 192.168.20.2. Just give 192.168.20.2 and let the default subnet mask be here, and close this window and close this window. So right now the router serial cable and the switch fast Ethernet and gigabit Ethernet are totally different, because by default the router cables or the router interfaces are administratively down, and in other hand of the switches, they are by default their state is up. So that's only the difference. You can just use the administratively, you can down, or you can just remove this cables to just break the links between them. Anyway, right now we are just gonna assign the IP addresses into our router. So just open this router 0. So just give this no here and configure terminal. Select the interface gigabit Ethernet first, gigabit Ethernet 0/0, and give the IP address here 192.168.10.1, and it should be 29/29, so it's my mistake. Now let's get back to the track, and 255.255.248, and finally give the no shutdown command here. So as soon as giving this no shutdown command, our router senses the another interfaces is up and showing their information here. Okay, let's exit from this mode and select the serial interface here. Then interface serial 0/0/0, and give the IP address of that serial number. And it should be 252 because of CRA value is 30. Now let's give the no shutdown command here, and as we can see, the serial 0/0/0 interface has the clock symbol, so we must have to give the clock rate here for clocking this device. So let's give the clock rate like 2 million. And just exit from this mode and this mode too. Copy running config to startup config. Now let's close this window and configure this router. So just open the CLI tab and let this IP address be there. Okay, that's good. Now just give the enable command and configure terminal then interface serial 0/0/. Now in this time we will select the port number, and hit down the enter key and give the IP address 10.0.0.2 and the CRD value, and finally the no shutdown command here. Exit from this mode and select the gigabit Ethernet there. Interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0. Hit down the enter key and give the IP address there. Now in this time we will use 192.168.20.1 and the default subnet mask for class C network because the CIDR is 24. Then the final command is no shutdown there. Okay, so let's exit from this mode and copy the current configuration file to our NVRAM. It is right now totally optional to give the copy running config and a startup config whenever you are making changes to your CLI tabs, so make sure to give this command to save into your NVRAM so you won't lose this configuration by just mistakenly if you power off your device, so it will just recover again. So that is the reason we are using this command here. So anyway, let's go to the further. So right now we don't have the protocol in our router and we did not configure about the default gateway in our end devices, so we must have to give the default gateway in order to communicate these devices between them. So let's open this server and give this IP address here 192.168 and 10.1. so this will be our default gateway. Let's close this window, and for this PC also we have to give the default gateway here to 192.168.20.1. let's close this windows too. Now in order to communicate this router in between them and to the another network, we have to give a static route or the dynamic route protocols here. So let's try to ping to our neighbor router. So give this 10.2 and we are getting the ping requests echoes here. So the rate is totally 100% successful. So this is obvious because connected device with the same network and the same subnet mask and will always ping. It is general rule. But what about if I give here ping 192.168.20.1? So it won't ping, and because the next hop IP address or the next hop router didn't know about this IP address and it doesn't update to the routing table, so that's why it doesn't respond to this router. So let's exit, or let's configure the simplest here. Just go to the configure terminal, and the easiest way to give this protocol router rip, and we're gonna use the version 2 and no auto summary for stopping the summarization. And we have to add the network here. So this is our network 10.0.0.0, this serial network, and we have to add the local network to here. So give the command here network 192.168 and 10.0. Now on the other hand, we have to give the same routing information protocol, the RIP protocol with version 2 and no auto summarization. So again, copy running config to the startup config. Let's close this CLI tab and open the router 1 configure terminal, router rip, and version 2, no auto summary, and we have to add the network here like 10.0.0.0 and the local network, which is 192.168 and 20.0. Now exit from this mode and exit from this mode also, and give the final command here like running config, copy running config to the startup config. Exit from here. Now it should be ping here, like just open this router and type a command here like ping, and definitely it should ping first. And what about the another network like 192.168.20.1? so it is getting results from the ping. So ping is working fine and rip is in action. So if you just wanna say like so IP protocols, and as you can see the routing protocol is RIP and the distance is 120. That is the administrative distance between this router. Now let's send some packets from this server to this PC and let's check if we get the successful result or not. So first packet always getting failed because of ARP. So let's delete this one and try it again. Now we are getting this successful. Now let's start the DNS server on our server side. So let's open this server and go to the services, and inside the services let's first start with the HTTP protocol and HTTPS protocol. So what we just want to hear, like just open the desktop and go to the browser and give the IP addresses which we have assigned here in this server port, which was 192.168.10.2. Now as we can see, by giving this IP address we are getting a web page from the HTTPS protocol. If we change the protocol from HTTP to HTTPS, we will getting the same, a small page which prints hello world, a copyright, an image page, and this is just only the image page. So this is the mini browser in the Cisco packet tracer. By using this web browser we can browse the HTML files from the web server. So currently this server is and this server has the service of HTTP, that is a web server. So anything we put inside the server, so it will serve as a HTTP server. So let's try with our client machine. So this PC will browse to that router. Just open this web browser here, keep this IP address 192.168.10.2, and now we are getting this response and the web page from that browser. Now we want to give some kind of domain here, so by using that domain we will browse this browser and this page will be shown by using that domain name only. We wanted to give this IP address here, so instead of the IP address let's give this domain name like my name and .com for the domain name. Let's enter, because the host name is unresolved, so that's why we are not getting any kind of response from the server, and there is no web page built inside there. So to make this work, so let's make some changes here. So we have to open this server here and just go to this DNS server, and we have to manually on this server And inside the server there is a resource records, and inside the resource records we have to put a name here. So in my case I'm using my name and my full domain name, we can say, and I'm keeping this record type as a record type. And finally we have to give the IP address of the server, which is going to be translated. Now let's add this one. So whenever I'm using this domain, so it will redirect to this IP address, and whatever this IP address has the services, it will serve from that server. Now let's close this window and open the PC, and we also have to configure inside out the PC. So just go to the IP configuration, and inside the DNS server we have to give here our DNS server IP address here, the 10.2. Close this window and go to the web browser and give the domain name whatever we have entered there. So in my case I'm using this one. Now I'm getting the web page by using the domain name instead of the IP address. Now let's close this window, and what about if I want to get my custom web page here? Like this is my domain and test.html. So because there is no file name test.html, that's why it's getting the result of file not found. So let's make a file into our server. So just go to the services part and open the HTTP section, and we have to add a new file here. And you can also import a new file if you already has the .html file, so you can just import here. But right now I'm using the new file option to create a new file here, and I'm giving this file name as a test.html, and I'm creating an HTML file here. So if you don't know about this HTML and creation of HTML, so that's totally okay, because you can just copy and paste this code, and you can also download it from anywhere. That's not the problem, and source code will be available, and you can just copy and paste from there also. So inside the HTML there is a head, and this head contains some kind of title. I don't know if this title works in this browser or not, so let's check this one also. Test page, and close this title tag, and after that we have a body tag. Inside the body tag, just close this body tag also, and inside this body tag we have an h1 tag, and h1 tag is the biggest or the largest tag for text in HTML. So this is the test web page, and let's enclose this h1 tag. And if you want to add some paragraph here, so you can do this. And finally just close this tag and save this file here, and go to the file manager, and we have this test.html file here. Now just close this window and open this PC again and reload it again, or just go. Now we do have this test.html page we have just created, and it's just serving from that server, and we can browse it from the web browser. Now if you want to change the domain name, so we can do so. Just go to the server, and inside the DNS you have to just select that domain and change the domain name according to your preference. I'm using this like .in and just hit this save button. Close this window and go to the web page again. If we hit this go button here, so we won't get any kind of response because of we have just changed this window or this domain. Now this will work. And let's change the entire domain name here. Go to the DNS, select the record and change the domain name here like networking.com and save this domain here, and the domain name should be updated there. And if you browse this web page right now, so it won't be available because we have just renamed this domain here. So we have to give this here networking.com, and we are getting the response from networking.com. Let's test with the test.html file. So we do have the test.html file also. So this was all about for this video. I hope you understand about the DNS server and the HTTP and HTTPS server which we have used by using this client machine, and we have stabilized a connection, and we built a network by using these two routers, and we also configured the RIP version 2. And as you can see, this is a discontiguous network because of the IP addresses, and these area values are totally different. So that's all for this video now. So if you have any kind of confusion, so you can just write down in the comment box. Thanks for watching this video guys, and see you on the next video.